Hello, everybody. I'm Robert Adichie with Ulisses Spiele, and we are going to talk about Ulisses Worlds, our new show with myself and Tim Brown.
Hey, how's it going? You having a good day?
Yeah, great day. A lot of meetings today, but got a lot of things done. I feel like.
I know I was in some of those meetings with you. I
Yeah,
know the meetings you've had today.
yes. And so, unfortunately, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties with Tim's video, uh, but you still get this great picture of him.
I
Um,
promise you that is an up-to-date, accurate image of me.
it is. It's a good picture. So this is the first episode of our Ulysses Worlds news show. We're hoping to do this weekly or bi-weekly and kind of talk about all the things that we've been up to across Ulysses Spiele, the English products.
Yeah, Ulisses Spiele International, which is headquartered here in Las Vegas, Nevada, but we have people all over the country and really all over the world. We are the publisher of everything Ulysses that comes out in the English language. So that's what we're up to here. So some of your favorite games like Torg and The Dark Sky and now Fading Suns, that's what we're up to. And Robert is our main social media guy, so he's always the contact, and he set this up for us today. So let's big thanks to you, Robert.
Yeah, happy to do this. It's fun, kind of delving into all the different games that we have. And so, before we get into the specific lines of games, we're just kind of open up with just some little warm up chat. Obviously, the big thing that sort of everyone is talking about right now that's affecting all of us is COVID-19. Everyone is a lot of people are at home. Those people that don't have to work, and so they're at home. We're at home. Thankfully, we've kind of been working at home already, and so we're familiar with it. But
That's right. We are a distributed company, which
mhm.
means we've got people all over the place. And so, yeah, we're very used to the idea of using Teams and other chat features to do our work. But now that they're necessary, we find ourselves always having to help other people out to get their chat set up. So it's interesting to be on that side. I'm almost the IT guy amongst my friends now, which is terrifying.
Nice. And so, in order to kind of to help with that and to kind of give some people things to do, we have been streaming a lot of games. We've been having additional shows just like this one, and hopefully people have been watching those and kind of letting you take your mind off of other things.
Absolutely. It's sort of our outlook that we've got a lot of people who've got extra time on their hands. We want to keep everybody as entertained as possible, and you can't play games 24/7. So a lot of additional material so that you can get some video entertainment out of Ulysses is what we're after. We've launched quite a few new shows and programs here in English, and if you also happen to speak German, our German office counterparts are doing the same in that language. And even if you can't understand it, it's entertaining to watch.
It's probably really entertaining if you can't understand it. um, and so, yeah, so obviously, if you're watching the show right now live, then you know that we have a Twitch channel. We also have a YouTube channel, which everything that we have on Twitch gets transferred over there. And if you're watching this on YouTube, definitely go check out our Twitch channel. Like and subscribe us to us in all those places so that you can get notifications of when we go on. And right now, as I said, we'll kind of go through the individual shows later, but we're almost daily right now.
Hmm.
So that's kind of what we're doing with streaming. We are also, there's been a lot of talk about conventions. A lot of conventions have had to postpone or cancel due to COVID-19, and so some of those that we go to, one of them being Origins. Origins has been delayed until October 7th through 11th, but they're throwing an Origins online for some virtual games, and that's going to be June 19th through 21st. We
Were
don't
those the
have
original dates? I'm sorry, were those the
Yeah.
original dates of Origin? Okay, great.
Yep.
So
The June
perfect.
19th through 21st was the original dates. But we're kind of interested in having people run games. So if you want to run games for Origins, go ahead and shoot me an email at contact@ulysses-spiele.com, and we'll see how we can help you run some games. And it doesn't matter how you want to run them. If you just want to run them straight voice, or if you want to do video through Discord, or if you want to use Fantasy Grounds or Roll20 or any of the virtual tabletops, or any other way that people run games online, we would be happy to help you out with that.
Where is their, do they have their sign up for that on their website at Origins?
Yeah, I think you can sign up for. You can. I'm not sure if you can start submitting games yet,
Hmm.
but yeah, it would be at Origins.
Okay. If anybody looks that up and finds out when you can start and exactly where to click through, go ahead and put that in the comments, and we'll pass that along.
Yeah, definitely. And this show is gonna have a whole bunch of notes, and so I'm gonna put up another basically its own article on our website with a bunch of the notes here. So I'll definitely go look that up.
Awesome. Thank you.
Another event that people are talking about is the Tabletop Events Con. So Tabletop Events was
Hmm.
a like a convention, or sorry, a platform that people use to organize their conventions. And with COVID-19, a lot of conventions are canceling, and so they kind of lost a bunch of money and lost a bunch of the ability to kind of run cons. Well,
Sure.
a lot of people were saddened by that and wanted them to continue, and so they've put on their own sort of crowdfunding and their own convention, and that is going to be May 23rd through 25th. And if you're running games there, or even just getting a badge, we have donated a bunch of PDFs to them. And if you run our game specifically, we'll give you even more PDFs. So if you're interested in that, go check them out at tabletop.events. They're Con of Champions, and their games open for registration tomorrow. So if you want to GM games again for us there, you can submit games, and you get a discount on the badges as well.
Awesome. Yeah, you'll find that at tabletop.events/conventions/Con of Champions with hyphens in there.
Yeah.
Con of Champions. So definitely check that out. And we want to see tabletop and a lot of other businesses not only survive but thrive. So everything you can do to help them out, we'd certainly appreciate it.
Definitely. So let's get on to our individual game lines. Why don't you tell us what Torg Eternity's been up to, Tim?
Torg Eternity is well into its release of its whole series of first-year Cosms, and we've got several out now. Of course, all of the Isle products, AYLSE, because we don't have that in print anywhere on the hood. Isle is the Cosm that we have all the products available for purchase at the Ulisses website at ulysses-us.com. So that one's well in hand. And you can also get all of the PDFs for Isle at drivethrurpg.com. So that one's more historic. Cyber Papacy, which came out after that, I know a lot of people are curious what the status of that particular product line is. And surprisingly, even with COVID-19, we've done quite well getting all the materials together to get the physical products together and begin fulfillment of that by the end of this coming month. That is May, which starts tomorrow. By the end of May, we hope to be packaging packages in our warehouse in Germany and getting everything shipped so that we can get you word on when you're actually going to get your Cyber Papacy packages for anybody who backed that particular crowdfunding. So obviously, we're having trouble dealing with every physical aspect of production, just as everybody is, everything from printing to shipping, and that includes both getting things on trucks and into and out of warehouses and back onto trucks and onto ships and things like that. It's very difficult right now, but we're doing everything that we can to make Cyber Papacy happen. So we're admittedly behind what would be our normal non-COVID schedule, but not catastrophically so, and we appreciate everybody sticking with us on that.
Yeah, and so after, in the coming months, the next Kickstarter the next crowdfunding for Torg is going to be Tharkold. We've talked about that before, and once we get things well in hand of where they should be, we will put that crowdfunding out for everybody. When that exactly is going to happen, we're not really sure. It's still a bit nebulous. We're kind of waiting on a few things, but it will be happening soon. In quotes.
Certainly, the good news for subsequent products is that all of the inventive minds that are putting words to paper to create Darkhold products and creating art, they're still in motion. So we're not really being slowed as a creative process. It's all physical manufacture of products that's falling behind. So Darkhold will actually be ready. It's just when can we actually be sure we can run a crowdfunding and then with confidence be able to get materials to you. So that's what's on our minds as we pick the dates where we're going to try to get a crowdfunding for Darkhold. And then later this year, when we do the Orosh Cosm, when we're going to do that is very dependent upon our manufacturing and shipping capabilities. But right now, things are starting to turn a bit, and we have great confidence we'll be able to get back on a very steady schedule to bring all those first-year Cosms out to everybody.
Nice. Yeah, and in order to kind of help people with some of that, we've been running our stream games. The stream Eternity Shards game that James been running has been going for quite a while in the studio that we have in Colorado Springs. But with COVID-19, we've kind of obviously had to stop that, and so JM kind of started doing a bunch of Fading Suns game, and now just this last week, actually 2 weeks ago, he got back into another Torg Eternity game. This one's all distributed, and so everyone's playing games at their house. It includes Myth Tales of Legend designer Ross Watson in that game, as well as some of the players from the Eternity Shards game. And so that is every Tuesday at 5:30 Pacific on Twitch, and then the next day usually it shows up on YouTube. So you can go check those out. They just had a session 0 2 weeks ago. So if you want to kind of see how you would create characters for a Torg Eternity game, definitely check that out because they kind of walk through it with all the players.
Awesome. That JM, John Matthew, he is a wonder and creates a lot of great video content for us. And our Colorado Springs studio has got a lot of terrific players, so definitely get a chance to check that out.
Yeah, it looks like in the chat here, G asks, will the first new Torg novel be part of the Darkhold Kickstarter?
The first novel is definitely a possibility that we'll put that in there. It's already finished and in editing, the Maelstrom Bridge book, and we want to not only put that out, but we're seeking a broader publishing deal for that and some of our other product lines and novels we're having written for them as well. But right now, the target is to make that novel part of the Darkhold crowdfunding, so that will be your best first avenue to get a copy of that for yourself.
Cool. As far as other streams, so I did a stream just this last week of character creation in Torg Eternity. I have, I'd played it once with Bill Slavisek, but used a pre-gen character, so I'd never created a character before, and so I walked through it. It had a really nice, kind of very smooth character creation. It was fun. I definitely recommend you guys go check that out on YouTube. It's up both sessions. First session, I kind of talked about my main idea, and then kind of slowly started to create this kind of martial artist psionic character, which if you saw my Fading Suns character creation, it was very similar because I like those kinds of characters. And so I like to, I kind of started creating that with advice from people in the chat. And then in the second episode, we kind of picked our psionic powers and kind of had to change the character a little tiny bit just to make things work well with the powers and the powers that we wanted. And in doing so, the form fillable sheet that I had, like the tabbing was a little bit off, and there was a couple of things that were a little bit off, and someone saw me struggling with that a little bit. Jason, he's on our Discord as Ampersands, and he sent us a brand new form fillable Torg Eternity character sheet. And
nice.
So I just put that on the website, and so you should be able to find that in the download section. So when you tab now, it tabs through all the right places. And so thanks Jason, for that. We really appreciate it. So
terrific.
The next section that we're going to talk about is the Dark Eye. Tim, what's the Dark Eye been up to?
The Dark Eye is obviously still in publication in its original 5th edition game of Das Schwarze Auge in Germany and in Europe. It's still extremely popular. We're trying to catch up to where they are in publication. and we're continuing to take some of the main books and get those out. The Magic of Aventuria physical products are in the warehouse and on sale at the Ulysses website, ulysses-us.com, and you can get the PDFs, of course, also on Drive-Thru RPG, just like everything else that we do. The physical products are obviously it's a translation process where we try to get the new editions of the original German language books translated and edited and up to speed to bring out in English. It's time consuming, but boy, the artwork and just the feel of that game is so tremendous that it's a long wait sometimes to get releases, but when they come out, they really are spectacular.
Yeah, the books are great. The Dark Eye was pretty new to me, and just delving into the lore of the game has been fantastic. It's got a great feel. It's kind of different from what a lot of people are used to. And I keep coming back to this COVID-19 thing because it's kind of on everybody's mind, and it's been driving a lot of what we've been doing lately, hoping to help people kind of relax amongst this stressful time. And in order to do that, we've kind of put out a web article called "Stay at Home and Play the Dark Eye," and it includes a bunch of different ways that you can just do what the article says: stay at home and play the Dark Eye, whether you're doing that by yourself or with your family or online with your friends and family. So we wanted to let everybody experience the Dark Eye in whatever manner they could, and in order to do that, we put up the Dark Eye PDF on Drive-Thru RPG as pay what you want. So if you're struggling right now, go ahead and put $0 in there, or $1 or $2, or up to whatever the PDF costs, $20. Whatever you can afford, please do that, and go ahead and start playing. Even if you don't have someone to play with, you can still play the Vampire of Havana or Conspiracy of Mages. Those are both single player, like solo adventures that you could play by yourself. They're kind of like the old choose your own style adventures. But it walks you through the rules of the Dark Eye. So you have a pre-generated character, and you make your rolls and whatnot. And both of those are also pay what you want. So go check those out. And we'll put this as an article on the website, which will have all these links as well. Another part of that article was a Fantasy Grounds extension. So there is a fan-made Fantasy Grounds extension. If you own Fantasy Grounds or subscribe to it, for those of you that don't know, it's a virtual tabletop, so you can play with people online. So there's if you own it or subscribe to it already, you can get a free extension that kind of has the basics of how the dice rolls work and things like that. And so you can go download that and start messing with it. I'm a fan of Fantasy Grounds. I do a little bit of work for them, and I've been playing around with it. And so I've been running some play tests with friends through it as well. So it's been fun.
When somebody gets the Fantasy Ground extension for the Dark Eye, what can they expect to see?
So someone made a pretty cool theme that's based on the book, and so it kind of has a look of the Dark Eye. They got permission from us to kind of use that stuff, and so it kind of has the theme of the Dark Eye. And then there's not really any information as far as like game information in there, so that kind of thing, like your professions and your skill descriptions, like all the descriptions, like none of that stuff is in there, just the core rules. So
I see.
if you want to have the descriptions, that's the kind of stuff you'll have to kind of enter on your own.
Okay. Then I see we've also got a Moon of Blood mobile video game. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so that was it's a little bit older game, but it's been sitting out there for a while, and so if you want to play, I think it was like $4.99, or there's a free demo version you can get. So that's definitely something to do. I have not been able to check that one out yet, but it is out there. There's also the Scriptorium Aventuris, which is basically how fans can contribute to the Dark Eye. You can go check that out. It's one of the kind of community content programs on Drive-Thru RPG, and so there's a lot of images and various other assets that we have put out there for the fans to use to make their own content. So if you like to game design, you like to make adventures, you like to make monsters, that kind of stuff, you can create whatever you want, and you can put it up for sale.
Terrific. So for the Dark Eyes physical products, the next series that we're going to do is all around the Gods of Aventuria book, which is already well into its translation and editing, but at this point we couldn't tell you exactly what date we're going to put that out. But that is the next one. So Gods of Aventuria will be the next wave of products that we put out for the Dark Eye. In the meantime, we have revised and print-friendly character sheets that are included now in the deluxe character sheet product on Drive-Thru RPG. And they're very much new and improved, and definitely ready for everybody who wants to play the game. That includes online, right? So you can definitely use that as part of your online experience.
Yeah, the new character sheets there's form fillable ones, so you can use them as PDFs as you would. There's also print friendly ones, so if you want to print them out, they're just black and white, so they don't eat up all your print, all your ink, which is nice.
Right.
And the Book of Heroes is a computer RPG that is coming out. I think it was supposed to be released in June is the current release date. I forgot to put details in here because I just remembered it right now. But I've been kind of watching. They've kind of put out these cool comics, these Dark Eye comics
Right.
that I've been paying attention to. And so this kind of has the feel of some of those kind of older isometric kind of third person games. And so even though it's got the older kind of feel, it has obviously modern game mechanics and whatnot. So definitely go check out the Book of Heroes for the Dark Eye.
We've got a few streamed and different stream content available for the Dark Eye right now. The first is the Vampire of Havana and Conspiracy of Mages playthroughs that are available already on YouTube and feature, Robert is the main man putting those together. So
Yeah, so I played the Vampire of Havana, and I won't spoil how it ends, but I'll just say I didn't make it all the way through. So if you want to play it yourself, you can. There's probably a couple spoilers in there, obviously, because I played through it for a few hours, but the end spoiler is not there. So go check that out. Same thing for the Conspiracy of Mages. I did not make it all the way through that one either. I apparently have bad luck at Choose Your Own Adventures. But it was fun. So definitely go check both of those out. I also did, I kind of mentioned that Dark Eye extension for Fantasy Grounds. I did a walkthrough of that. So if you're interested in how to do that, I kind of literally walked everybody through how to download it, how to download everything you need, how to install it, and how to start getting it running. So if you're interested in playing the Dark Eye on Fantasy Grounds, check that one out on YouTube. And I did some character creation. The Dark Eye has the character creation is like a point buy system, and it's very detailed. And thankfully there's a great character generator created by one of the community members called the Optolith character generator, and that's available on the Scriptorium Aventuris. It's free or pay what you want. And so if you're going to create a character, I definitely recommend you do that. It's super easy to walk through. And I made a Min-Realmer mercenary. He's like a skirmisher. And so all of these kind of character creation, the walkthroughs of Vampire of Havana and Fantasy Grounds, like these, I do all of these on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific. So if you want to come see one of our games, I'll be doing something with one of our games every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m.
awesome. And just to remind everybody that all of these details are going to get put into print and uploaded so that you'll be able to find all these details after the show, and you won't have to write all this stuff down frantically as we chat through it.
For sure.
But that sort of tails up everything we're doing for the Dark Eye, which is still one of our core game systems and the premier English language product that we put out. But our latest and greatest, is of course the resurgence and the reissuing of a brand new edition of Fading Suns, a great science fiction game from way back in the 1980s. And we thought we had a really terrific initial crowdfunding for that. We did it at a time when a lot of other companies were avoiding getting out there in that field because they didn't know what to expect. We were very happy with our results. We can tell there's an enormous existing nostalgic fan base for Fading Suns, much like there was for Torg.
Mm-hmm.
And like Torg, we're now going to concentrate on not only satisfying those nostalgic players, but everybody who's being exposed to the Fading Suns setting for the very first time. So our main guy on that is, of course, Bill Bridges, and he is working with Andrew Greenberg on some different streams that we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, the Fading Suns, it's just, if you didn't get a chance to look at the initial crowdfunding on that, the artwork and presentation are really spectacular, far beyond anything that was ever done for the game in its original forms.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just really excited that it's finally made its emergence onto the scene. So that's very fun.
Yeah, this version of Fading Suns is, like a lot of products nowadays, but it's full color, which the older version was not.
Right.
And most recently, Eric, our crowdfunding manager, put out an update for Fading Suns of the manuscripts for the PDF. So this includes the player's book, the universe guide, and the GM's guide, as well as the faction book. So all of the text is there. We're still kind of waiting on some of the layout to happen, and once that is all put together, we will get that out to the backers as well. There's also a character sheet in there, which you can use to make characters now that you have all the manuscripts.
Awesome. So tell me about Admiral Nelson, who's a fan of ours on Discord.
Yeah, so Admiral Nelson, sorry, I just had my computer did something weird. Yeah, I was like, oh no, is everything going down? Yeah. So Admiral Nelson on Discord, he loves Roll20, and so there were already Fading Suns character sheets for the old versions and stuff, and so he wanted to make a new Fading Suns character sheet. So he reached out to me to see if I could get him the character sheet so that he could make it look like ours, and so he has done that, and I think it's going to be out next week. But
Okay.
he sent that to us so that we could give him some feedback and stuff on it. And I took a look at it. It looks great. I don't have a lot of experience with Roll20, but I kind of clicked through things, and it looks really
Sure.
cool. So that should be out soon for all of you. Now that you have the manuscripts, you can start making characters.
Yeah, that's great news. Is that something we're going to post?
Yeah, once we kind of get the word that he's made it go live, then yeah, we will definitely post about that. And in addition to that Roll20 character sheet, I was also given a copy of a print-friendly character sheet. So that has not been put out there. What do you think we should do with that, Tim?
Oh, well, if it's up to me, we'll get that out there so people can see it immediately. Let's get it through the review process, get a sign off from Bill, and then make it available.
All right, yeah. So that should be on the. I know Bill's taken a look at that already. So go ahead and check out the downloads page of the Ulisses-US.com website, and it should be there.
Oh, okay, great. You're a step ahead of me. Speaking of being a step ahead, even though this is a very new product line that we've really just begun to release and had its first crowdfunding campaign, there's already significant streaming content available for Fading Suns. Robert, can you tell us what Bill Bridges and Andrew Greenberg are already up to?
Yeah, so they, during the crowdfunding, they wanted to kind of put out some streams to answer some questions, and so they made a show called Heretical Musings. And so that was pretty much Bill and Andrew talking about, they were the original creators, talking about just both details of the Kickstarter, but also, questions that people had about the setting and the lore. They also had a bunch of guests on from the history of Fading Suns. So if you want to know about, the history and some more details of what you will find in the books, go check those out. It's called Heretical Musings on our YouTube channel. And they're going to restart it now that the manuscripts are out. They're going to start it up again to answer people's questions now that people are actually digging into the words and making characters and stuff like that. So the next one is going to be on Tuesday, May 5th at 2 p.m. Pacific time. So go check that out. They're going to be talking about character creation as well as monsters in sci-fi.
Awesome. Now I know Bill Bridges already did a Q&A session we streamed that in the Tabletop RPGs group on Facebook. Is that on YouTube right now?
Yeah. So that went up on YouTube. So if you don't know anything about Fading Suns, it's a great one to watch. It's a Q&A where we kind of go through, and I'll be honest, I didn't, I knew a little bit about Fading Suns, but not some details. And so I used that opportunity to kind of grill Bill about Fading Suns. So I kind of sated my need to know what is Fading Suns by that Q&A, because he answers tons of stuff. Gives you a great overview. It's I highly recommend that one. And then after we did that, I decided I wanted to make a character for the Fading Suns, and that's what started me on this character creation journey that I've been going through in all our games. And I created as I said, I love martial arts and psionics, so I created a noble character who is a Hazat, which is one of the noble houses, a Hazat psionicist or scion, I think they're called in that, and martial artist. And so if you want to see me kind of figure out how to make a character with Bill's help, because Bill was in the chat, so him and some of the other people that kind of had play tested or whatnot, they were in the chat and they helped me out. In addition to that, there is also hours and hours and hours of streams on Fading Suns. There's the Crew of the Oh Boy, which was JM's original stream, which ran for like over a year, I think, right?
Yeah, quite a long time.
Yeah, so they were playtesting Fading Suns a long time ago, and they've been streaming all of that. So you can find that. I think a lot of that is still on their Iconic Productions stream and YouTube. But since the whole COVID-19 thing, they've moved things to the online game. And so the online game is on our YouTube channel. So go check those out. There's been it's called The Annals of Antioch, and that one should be ending soon. There's been about 7 episodes, I think, and there's only going to be a couple more, and then they're going to either start a new campaign or continue something else. Not sure exactly what his plans are yet.
Okay, we'll try to get an update on that for the next time we chat.
For sure.
Awesome. So yeah, a lot of stuff's going on for Fading Suns. Obviously, it's new. It's very exciting for us. We have some other lines, of course, that still are gaining fans all the time. Among them is the Aventuria adventure card game, which, based in the same fantastic universe as the Dark Eye, is its own adventure card game system that's gaining a lot of it's just gaining a lot of fans. It just keeps growing, and we keep taking product originally created for that card game in the German edition and translating that and bringing out those expansions in English. The next several are in translation. The translations are to be done in the middle of May, and we actually brought on some additional editorial help to make sure we didn't slip from that date. So the next few expansion products for the Aventuria adventure card game are well in hand. Eric, who also doubles as Eric Simon, who doubles as our crowdfunding specialist, is also the fellow doing the primary product management for the Aventuria adventure card game line, and he does a stream as well. What can you tell us about that, Robert?
Yeah, so Eric's doing his streams on they're actually pre-recorded videos that we're putting up on Saturdays at 11 a.m. where he plays through. One of the cool things about Aventuria is that you can play it solo, and so he plays through several different adventures. They're kind of short adventures, like 2 hours, and he goes through an adventure. So that's been kind of cool to watch. And he kind of talks about the cards and how to use them and that kind of thing too. So it's definitely if you're interested in the game, you should check that out. And an interesting thing, I just was looking at the website at our sales, and the Aventuria core set has been one of our biggest sellers so far this month. And I think that people are kind of looking for something that they can do on their own, and Aventuria is definitely something that as I said, you can do on your own.
Yeah, it's a terrific game. It kind of runs itself. It's got adventures you can kind of play through that are they're kind of set up specifically for card play, and it's just a ton of fun. It's a game that you can use to bring people who aren't specifically role-playing gamers into a role-playing like setting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's doing real well for us.
Yeah. So the next game that we'll get into is Myth, and the new, we're calling Myth Dawn of Heroes. So that'll be the next kind of crowdfunding we do for this game later this year. Will be called Myth Dawn of Heroes. We're still working through some of the older crowdfunding production and kind of getting things out for the Myth Journeyman Kickstarter. Eric just did an update for that, and in the updates he kind of talks about where we're at, as COVID-19 has kind of altered the things we're doing. He kind of gives updates for what we're doing, and we just received a large shipment of Myth products from Germany that are now going out to the backers. So if you are a backer of Myth Journeyman and you didn't see the update, hopefully you'll be getting some of your stuff soon.
Definitely check out that last update. As we took a look at the original Myth game, a game that we thought was really terrific, and decided to take over its management, and we bought the rights to the entire game. We knew there were some outstanding things for the original Myth Journeyman Kickstarter that we needed to get out to the various backers, and we took on that responsibility. So we don't take that lightly. We're doing everything we can to make sure people get the physical and PDF product that they were promised from that Kickstarter, and as many of the miniatures and everything that we can get out to them. And all of that is definitely in process, but as Robert said, COVID is slowing that a little bit as well. So definitely check those updates. But we have other fans that are creating different pieces for us as well. As we move along to our release of the new edition of the Myth game, as Robert said, we're going to kickstart that and launch that later this year under the name Myth Dawn of Heroes. That'll be the new edition. We have fans like Grimson who's up to things. What can you tell us about him, Robert?
Yeah, so I met Grimson in the Myth board game fan Facebook group, and he has created a mod for Tabletop Simulator. So Tabletop Simulator is a really cool thing that you can get on. It's a kind of a video game, if you will, that you can get on Steam, and it's normally $19.99, but you can usually find it somewhere on sale for $9.99, or when they do their big summer sales or whatever, you can get it for $9.99. Or if you have a bunch of people that are normally in your group, you can also you can buy like 4-packs for like the price of 3. So definitely watch for those sales. You could get a 4-pack, I think, for $27 or something like that. And what Grimson did is he basically made a mod of Myth that you can download and you can play online with people. And he's also a prolific creator, so he created a bunch of his own monsters and his own classes and things like that, characters. And so he can download and you can play with those as well. That also reminded me that we forgot to mention this in the Aventuria section. There is also a mod for Aventuria on Tabletop Simulator. So it is for the core book, the core box set. You can go and you can play that. And so the mods are free themselves, but Tabletop Simulator, like I said, is $9.99 or $19.99 depending on where you get it.
Right. Yeah, we'll definitely get the links and everything you need to know about both of those mods. For Myth and for Aventuria card game, so that you can see those after the chat. So that's very cool.
Definitely.
Now, we're still in development on our new version of the game, Myth Dawn of Heroes. And so at this point, we don't have any specific streams for that. But of course, we plan to do a plethora of them when the time comes. And given these mods, maybe some will come out a little earlier than that.
Yeah, so kind of jumping back to Grimson and the Tabletop Simulator, when I joined Ulysses, and I wanted to kind of start helping out with some playtesting for Dawn of Heroes, and so I went and got the old Dawn of Heroes or the old Myth set so that I could do some play tests. And then, of course, as we've been talking about, COVID-19 hits, and so now we're all separated and we cannot playtest. Well, Grimson, not only is he a great fan, he's also one of our playtesters. And so when I saw that he did the mod for the tabletop simulator, I was like, hey, can we do a playtest mod that's not publicly available, obviously, but that we can, so that we can get together and we can still playtest this stuff despite the social distancing. And he figured it out and he got one up there, and so now we're able to playtest all together, which is cool. We haven't had a game yet. This kind of just went live recently, but I'm sure we'll be delving into that. So a big shout out to Grimson. He's been very helpful to us.
Yeah, we love the Myth game. That's why we picked it up. We took the board game, and we're obviously making a new edition of that. And the universe itself was so fantastic that we, of course, want to create a really terrific role-playing setting for that as well. So in addition to the new edition of the board game, which we're calling Dawn of Heroes, we're also creating Myth Tales of Legend, which is going to be a role-playing game for that universe. And we've got veteran game designer Ross Watson taking the lead on that. And he's also working closely with John Matthew DeFogi. Between the two of them, they've got a great deal of work done on those manuscripts already.
Yeah, so they have, we haven't put a whole lot out there about Tales of Legend in print, but there have been a lot of streams. So every week, JM and Ross have been putting out a 1 hour stream where they kind of rotate between rules and setting. Each week they do a different topic, and there've been five out so far. One just came out earlier today, so go check them out. It's called Myth Tales of Legend Campfire Chats. So definitely go check that out if you want to learn more about the rules, and they delve even deeper into the setting of Myth. So a lot of that stuff that's been brought up in the board game is brought forward and then expanded. So if you're already a Myth fan, even if you're not an RPG fan, maybe you'll become one. But there's plenty of more Myth in the RPG.
So something else that we're working on, just to round this out, with regard to all of our different role-playing game lines and card game lines and everything else. We've touched a little bit on some of the online virtual tabletop platforms like Fantasy Grounds and Roll20. And these are becoming so much more important to the industry and people who like to play at large. And this is, of course, accelerated with the entire COVID-19 thing, as you're all aware, that we're taking a more active role to actually get a qualified group together to get virtual tabletop content out there for pretty much all of our RPGs. So rather than just wait for such things to happen, we're taking a more aggressive stance to find a really qualified group who knows exactly what they're doing and create mods and content packages for all of our worlds on all of those types of virtual tabletops settings.
Yeah. So we're really excited. I found this group, and they are excited not only to, the first things we're going to put out there are Fantasy Grounds. That's their strengths. But they're also going to work on Roll20. We've also had some people reach out and ask us about a tabletop called Tailspire. There's also Astral Tabletop, and so we're going to be looking at all of these, kind of seeing which ones kind of make the most sense for us to put out there. And once this team has the data, theoretically they should be able to kind of move a lot of that to other tabletops relatively easy. Obviously, they'll need to do some coding and whatnot, but we're hoping that having one team kind of do a lot of it will help us come out faster. And they are a team, whereas a lot of individuals put out the individual rule sets for these, and so it takes a long time for an individual to do it. But we've got a team. I think they have 5 people, and so we're hoping to kind of turn these out much faster. In just a couple of months instead of the year that it often takes.
Right. So we're definitely teasing that on this program, that we're in touch with a qualified and experienced team, a group that has done this in the past, that has expressed specific interest in doing it for our different role-playing game lines. And yeah, we'll get more information on that, and as soon as that's available and we can really release some names and things, trust us, we will.
Yeah. So looks like someone had a question, but it looks like we were kind of answering it right as as we were talking. So if anybody's in the chat, you've got a couple more minutes before we sign off for the day. But if you got any questions, answer them or ask them here. I'm going to put a lot of our notes up on the website where you can make some comments there too for the next show. We'll be doing this next Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific. So you can see what we've kind of been doing over the previous week and see how kind of things are progressing. So if let's see, I know it takes a couple of seconds for the lag to kind of go through to the chat. So if you've got any more questions, go ahead and ask them now. As I said, go ahead and give us a give us a follow on Twitch, or like us on YouTube. Make sure to turn on the notifications so that when we go live, you can be notified. Not seeing any new questions, so I think we're gonna go ahead and call it there.
Okay.
So for Ulisses Spiele, I'm Robert Aducci, and this is Tim Brown, and thanks for watching. As I said, come back next week at 2 p.m. Pacific for more Ulisses World News.
Thanks so much for taking some time to sit with us today. We'll see you next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.